Welcome to Biff's Mystery Theater. I have many tales to tell you. Ghost stories, murder stories, and tales that will make your bones chill. Join me, won't you? For Theater of the Mind, where you always have the best seat in the house. Now close your eyes and turn off the lights.
Your spice is sure with two great names, Frigidaire and General Motors. Frigidaire presents Herbert Marshall as the man called X. Wherever there is mystery, intrigue, romance, in all the strange and dangerous places of the world, there you will find the man called X. Now Frigidaire presents Herbert Marshall as Ken Thurston, a man called X. Did you know that every year forest fires in the United States burn over an area equal in size to New England? Well, neither did Ken Thurston until Hubert Mitchell of the U.S. Forest Service came up from Washington last week and dropped in at the office of the Bureau. Mitchell was pretty upset.
In view of that kind of a situation and the urgent need of conserving our natural resources, the government is deeply interested in seeing that this Oregon plant gets into operation.
And the government will guarantee part of the financial backing. Is that right, Mr. Mitchell?
That's right, Mr. Thurston. The company that's actually building it is made up of about 60 small timber owners around the town of Tolosa. But, of course, they didn't have the money to swing a $5 million project, so...
All right, Mr. Mitchell, we realize the importance of conservation, and it's unfortunate the construction of this sawmill and byproduct plant is running behind schedule. But where do we come in?
Well, that's it, Chief. I don't know exactly. There have been an unusual number of delays on the job.
And the contract carries a deadline, huh?
Yes. The plant isn't in operation 3 months from now. It'll be sold at public auction.
But I still don't see what we can do about it.
Chief, I think there's a little beating around the bush going on here. Maybe a bush named Ray Brown.
All right. Brown was our forest ranger in the Tolosa district. He'd been looking into some of the recent delays on the construction job, fires and so on.
What did he find out?
He wired me last week. Implied he'd come across some pretty startling information. He wanted an investigator sent out.
So?
So, before we had a chance to send a man, Brown was accidentally killed. Found dead in his cabin. He'd apparently fallen asleep with a lighted cigarette, caught his mattress on fire, suffocated in the fumes.
Pretty careless trick for a forest ranger.
It was careless of somebody.
What do you mean?
Mr. Thurston, I'd known Ray Brown for years. He never smoked anything but a pipe.
Well, Chief?
Well, Ken?
I'll be calling you from Tolosa, Oregon. Country through here, Mr. Crumb.
Yep, prettiest scenery this side of the pearly gates.
Do you drive down to the junction every day?
Nope, meet the train 3 days a week, Mr. Thurston. Run my store up in Tolosa the rest of the time.
I see.
Not many folks come in on airplanes like you did.
They don't, eh?
Nope, ain't in that big a hurry to get here. You ain't figuring on going into business here, are you?
Oh, no, just gonna have a look at the new plant, that's all.
Be quite a sawmill if they ever get it done.
Understand they've run into some trouble.
Yep, calamities, fires, acts of the Almighty. First one thing and then another. Good thing you're not figuring on going in business, Mr. Thurston.
Why so?
Not enough business to go around. Ain't hardly enough for me.
What do? You close up your store when you go on these trips?
Yep, folks will come back. Shut her down another hour every day while I sort out the mail.
Oh, you're the postmaster, too?
Oh, sure, I have been postmaster
Look. Isn't that smoke up ahead there?
Yeah. Brush fire. Car parked there aside the road. Now, what the tarnation?
Somebody's fighting it. Over there by the edge of the tree.
That's Gene Fox. He sure can't do much over there. He's on the windward side of it. Lucky it ain't got much of a start yet.
Come on, let's give him a hand.
Got some shovels here in the back. Here. All right, let's go. This way, Mr. Thurston. Over here, Gene. Let's hit it off here in the draw.
Okay, coming over.
All right, Mr. Thurston, let's start working on it along here. Just sling dirt, that's all. Won't be too hard to stop. Another 5 minutes, though, and it'll have been in the trees.
What's that? That line of poles back of the ridge there.
Temporary power line. Supplies all the power for the construction work.
I see.
Hiya, Howard. Driving past and seen the brush burning over here.
Good thing you did, Mr. Thurston, Mr. Fox. Come on, Gene, sling dirt.
All right. Got some crazy fool threw a cigarette out of a car.
I'd say somebody did a lot more than that.
Huh? What do you mean?
Surprised you didn't notice it, Mr. Fox. Over there, along the edge of the road, there's a strong smell of gasoline.
Yep, nothing like a brush fire to show a man he's got muscles he didn't even know about.
Yeah. With a little more time to get started, it might have been a lot worse than a brush fire.
Figured you smell gasoline, eh?
No doubt about it, Mr. Crumb. Just who is that fellow Fox?
Gene? Oh, he's the contractor that moves the log drive for the small owners upriver.
Moves them where?
About 20 miles down the river to the McDermott sawmill. Of course, if Marty Hill ever gets the new plant started, all the timber will be handled right here.
And that'll put Fox out of business.
Yeah, reckon it will. He probably will get some kind of a job in the new plant.
Oh, sure.
Looks like we got a hitchhiker waving to us up there.
Yeah. Station wagon stopped beside the road.
Well, can't pass anybody up here in the woods. Bill McDermott.
McDermott.
Fella that owns that small sawmill down the river I just mentioned. Hiya, Bill.
Afternoon, Howard. What might be the chance for a lift into town?
Sure, climb in. This is Mr. Thurston and Mr. McDermott.
Glad to know you. Very glad you came by, Howard. Began to think I'd be stuck there for the day.
Oh, Gene Fox is back down the road. Be along pretty soon.
That's so? You can leave me at the garage when we get into town.
What was wrong, Mr. McDermott? Motor trouble?
Oh, no, just my own carelessness, Mr. Thurston. I simply ran out of gasoline.
Well, here we are, Mr. Thurston.
Thanks. Nice looking place.
Best general store in Tolosa. Only one, as a matter of fact. Come on in.
Looks like somebody waiting for you on the bench there in front.
Must be an out-of-towner. Everybody here knows this is my day to close up.
How do you do?
Oh, no.
I assume you must be the proprietor of this driving establishment?
Yep, that's me.
My good man, I'm here to save you not only from bankruptcy, but also from... Huh?
Pagon Zellschmidt.
Why, hello, Mr. Thurston.
Oh,
I can see this is a very happy surprise for both of us. Eh?
you need new glasses. Mr. Crumb, this character goes by the name of Zellschmidt. Better lock the cash drawer.
Howdy, Mr. Zellschmidt. Come on inside.
Pagon, I'm resigned to have you turn up in Africa, Asia, or even Australia. But when you follow me to a place like Tolosa, Oregon, that's the last straw.
But I did follow you, Mr. Thurston. I'm now a member of the ancient and unruly profession of traveling salesman.
Yeah? Selling what?
The Ahmed Zellschmidt double-headed hatchet.
The what?
Sure, cuts all, fells all, patent practically applied for. Look.
Funny-looking axe. Head on both ends of the handle.
Cuts with both ends. Every lumberjack in the woods will want one. All you do is swing it.
Pagon, you almost cut your head off.
Uncle Ahmed forgot to give me the instructions.
Well, Mr. Crumb, thanks for the ride. Now, I think I better look around for a room.
The hotel's right next door.
I'll show you, Mr. Thurston. I was going to check in there myself, only I didn't have any money.
You still don't?
Oh. Mr. Crumb, you wouldn't want to buy a dose of this hatchet, would you? A dozen? One little sample, maybe? Oh, well, I didn't think you would.
Here's your room key, Mr. Thurston. It's number 16. Best room in the house.
Wait, don't tell me that you're the...
Yep, I'm the hotel manager, too.
Wow.
Bye, Mr. Thurston.
work, Mr. Thurston. Hey, maybe it's the wrong room.
No. It's number 16.
Huh?
Maybe if we try to turn it there.
Come in. The door's unlocked.
Hey, there's a girl inside, Mr. X.
Yeah. Well, so there is.
Hello. I'm Elaine. Come on in, Mr. Thurston.
Thanks, Elaine.
Boy, what a luscious little chipmunk.
Pagon.
But. All right, I'm going. You don't have to hit around about it.
I could be in the wrong room, of course.
You're not. I knew you'd get number 16. Out-of-towners always do.
And why are you here?
Oh, a couple of reasons. For one thing, I wanted to tell you not to believe everything you hear.
I seldom believe any of it. What's the other reason?
Let's say I just wanted to size you up.
Oh? And what's the verdict?
I think you might be pretty tough to handle, Mr. Thurston.
Uh-huh.
We'll find out as things develop.
You're not leaving?
Oh, we'll have plenty of time.
You know, only two people could have told you about me. McDermott or Gene Fox.
Well, I know both of them rather well. William McDermott in particular, since he happens to be my father.
Believe me, Mr. Thurston, we'll certainly cooperate with you Forest Service men in every way possible to get to the bottom of this thing. It's just about got me licked, and I'm willing to admit it.
You're in full charge of the construction work? That was set up, Mr. Hill?
That's right, and I'll probably run the plant if we ever get it finished.
Well, the deadline's still 3 months away, Mr. Hill.
A few more of these accidents, and it might as well be 3 years.
Suppose you don't finish, and the plant's sold at auction. Who'll be the most likely buyer?
Oh, I'd say McDermott. Chances are he'd move the equipment down and set it up in connection with his own mill. The rest of us are in up to our necks already.
What's your guess about these accidents, Mr. Hill? If we're still calling them accidents.
Mr. Thurston, I'll give you all the help you want on this, but I'm not doing any guessing. A ranger by the name of Ray Brown made that mistake.
Yeah, you may have something there. You happen to know a man named Gene Fox?
Oh, sure. Fox is the contractor who takes the log drives down the river.
Mr. Thurston.
What's the matter, Pagan?
A big animal or something's moving around out here in the dark. Maybe it's a bear.
What of it? You've got your double-headed axe?
Wrong time of the year for a bear to come down this far.
Well, suppose we have a look. All right, Pagan. Where's this animal of yours?
I think it was over this way. Or maybe this way. I get it all turned around in the country.
Wait.
Hear something?
Yeah. Over to the left. Get down.
Whoever it was must have beat it.
Yeah. Rotten shooting. That light from the door made us perfect targets. Well...
Mr. Thurston, I think they're coming back.
Huh? Steps coming this way, all right.
It's somebody in the path.
Here now, what the tarnation's all this ruckus about?
Oh, it's Howard Crumb.
Discharging weapons in the middle of the night, people hightail it down the path like they was crazy.
Well, you saw somebody out there?
Yeah, Bill McDermott, running full speed. Didn't even stop to say howdy. Middle of the night, too.
You're keeping pretty late hours yourself, Mr. Crumb. Even for a storekeeper, postmaster, and toll manager.
Just you never mind, Mr. Thurston. Gotta get to the bottom of things. Gotta know what's going on. Ain't nobody that's got a better right to know. After all, I'm the constable around here.
And now to continue with Frigidaire's Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall.
Pagan. Oh, come on, Pagan, wake up.
Oh, why, of course, Queen Victoria. I'll be only too glad to be the president of the Bank of England.
Oh, Pagan.
And I will also... What's the matter, Mr. Thurston?
Nothing's the matter, except you've only got 20 minutes to get on the job.
Well, in that case, I'd be better. Job? What job?
The one I talked Marty Hill into giving you. He's the man in charge of building this new plant, remember?
Mr. X, I don't feel so good this morning. I got pains.
Pagan, get out of that bed and start moving. I want you to talk to the workmen on the job. Keep your ears open. Find out if they've got any ideas.
About who's behind this dirty work? It's Mr. McDermott. He's the one who shot at us last night.
Maybe, but if McDermott is in it, he's not in it alone. Then, too, all we have is Howard Crumb's word that McDermott was even around.
Oh. Mr. Thurston, when you fixed up this job, I hope you considered my outstanding capability, my numerous talents.
I took all that into consideration.
Good. Assistant manager maybe at about $200 a week?
Pagon, the job pays 90 cents an hour. Digging ditches.
Hooray! And I'm... Oh, no!
Quite a project.
Yeah. Nice view of the whole job from here, Mr. Fox.
Yeah, sure is. I come up here every day or so, just to watch other people working.
Not busy yourself right now, eh?
Well, it's off-season for log drivers. And I guess it'll be a permanent off-season when Marty Hill gets the plant operating. A big part of the drive is a 20-mile stretch of river between here and McDermott's mill.
I suppose there'll be some good jobs in the new plant.
Well, I got a little money saved up. I think I'll retire. Great retiring country up here, Mr. Thurston. Fishing, hunting, you know.
Yeah, yes. I did some hunting myself last night.
Any luck?
Not yet. Morning, Mr. McDermott.
Mr. Thurston, Gene.
Hi, Bill.
Understand you had a little shooting affair last night, Mr. Thurston.
Yes, that's right. You should have stuck around.
What do you mean, stuck around?
They might have had quite a discussion on night hunting. Silhouetted targets and so on.
If you're thinking I was the one behind that gun, Mr. Thurston, you better do some more guessing.
Oh, I thought maybe that was the same gun there on the seat beside you.
I've been taking too many chances for too long. From now on, I'm protecting myself. I'd advise you to do the same. Good day.
Mr. McDermott, I've never stopped doing exactly that.
Yeah, I heard about that shooting last night, Mr. Thurston. You got any ideas?
Better than that, Mr. Fox. I'm pretty sure who did it.
We are.
Hey, Mr. Thurston.
Pagon?
Not only I work my fingers to the bones, but now I gotta look all over the place for something nobody knows where it is. Have you seen Mr. Hill somewhere?
No, Pagon. Matter of fact, I was just going to look for him myself.
I reckon you'll find him at the scaling house over the other side of the ravine. You can walk across on the timber slide. It's not an operation.
Thanks, Mr. Fox. What do you want to see Marty Hill about, Pagon?
Everybody says since he's the boss that he's the only one that knows where it is.
Well, what is?
What the foreman sent me to look for. A left-handed shovel.
Watch your step, Pagon. This slide is pretty steep along here.
For me, Mr. X, it's nothing. Did I ever tell you about the time my Aunt Tallulah was a tightrope walker in the circus?
Yeah, you told me.
And she started to...
You told me, yes.
Oh, I did? Hey, what is this timber slide we're walking on? Looks like a wooden sidewalk up on stilts.
When the plant starts up, the logs will come in at the far end back there, slide across the ravine on this wooden sidewalk, and go on into the plant.
Oh.
Now, what have you found out so far? Anything?
Uh-huh. I'm very glad you asked that. There's one guy down there that claims he... Oh, you mean about this sawmill? Oh, he was talking about a babe he used to know in Sioux City.
Great, that's a lot of help.
Anyway, it was a very interesting thing.
Hey, Pedro, listen. Huh? Get over the edge there. Hang on to the brace underneath. Hurry up.
Mr. X, what is it?
Logs coming down this slide. Hang on. So the timber slide's not in operation yet. Well, come on, Pagon. That could have been a pretty close shave.
Nothing to it, Mr. X. We hear a noise, so we jump out of the way. Like the time my Uncle Ahmed was a bullfighter.
Pagon, take a look over the side of the trestle.
Huh?
300 feet to the bottom of that ravine.
Huh? Oh.
Pagon. Fine time to faint.
Are you lost, Mr. Thurston?
No, as a matter of fact, I was looking for you, Elaine, among other people.
Really? How did you happen to know where I was?
Oh, I saw you tie your horse over here in the trees. Knew we'd be around somewhere. Been hunting?
No, riding. I brought the rifle along in case I ran across anything worth shooting.
Anything or anyone?
Meaning?
That rifle's a little surprising. Judging by the empty cartridges I found, you used a pistol last night.
Well, that's quite an interesting opinion.
Oh, it's more than that, I'm sure of it. Who are you trying to kill, me or Marty Hill?
See that little stump about 75 yards up there at the edge of the path?
Oh, nice shooting, Elaine.
If I ever shot at anyone, I'd hit them, Ken. You can bet on it.
All right. So you meant it as a warning, then. Why?
If I did anything like that, it might be because I like you.
Maybe, but that's not the reason.
I do like you, Ken, a whole lot. That makes it worse.
Worse?
Oh, Ken, I'm scared.
Oh, Elaine,
Mr. Thurston, are you all right?
I was.
Uh-huh. I see what you mean.
Mr. Schmidt.
I've been looking for you for the last half hour, Mr. Thurston, all over this forest.
Wish I'd known it, Pagan. I could have set a trap in the trail. Why aren't you working?
Oh, I got fired.
I see. How'd you manage it?
I wasn't doing anything.
That I believe.
I was only building a fire to cook some coffee. Trying to keep my body and soul together, you understand?
Oh, sure.
How should I know those little sticks I used marked the place for some kind of a railroad?
Railroad?
Uh-huh.
Railroad, Pagan. You may have dug up the answer to the whole business.
I did? Well, thank you, Mr. Thurston. What did I do?
I think it'd be a pretty good idea if we stop beating around the bush, Mr. McDermott. I'm not trying to frame you for anything you're not guilty of. All I want is some information.
All right, Mrs. Thurston, what do you want to know?
Anything you can tell me about the new railroad.
There isn't one yet. Planned to build one over a year ago, even surveyed the route. Then when this new plant came up, they decided to swing the route around and come in from the north.
I see. Wonder if you'd mind marking that on this map. Both routes, the old one and the new one.
Sure, glad to. It swings up through the canyon, then follows the river.
Where do you plan to get timber after the new plant starts operating?
Then runs due south. We've got plenty to keep going for years. There. Hope you get this straightened out.
I think I'm about to, Mr. McDermott. Thanks. And, don't do any prowling up around Tolosa tonight. This time the gun might be pointed the other way. So that seems to explain McDermott's angle in the thing pretty well, Mr. Crumb. He's been playing detective all by himself.
Well, could be, Mr. Thurston. Should have come to me, though.
He's too hot-headed, and he knew that sooner or later he'd be suspected.
That doesn't explain that daughter of his, you know.
She doesn't need any explaining. Boy, what a dish.
Mr. Crumb, is Gene Fox one of the timber owners?
Nope, you used to be. Sold out a year or so ago. Guess Gene's retired, you might say. Don't do much of anything.
It's got the right idea.
How about you, Mr. Crumb? Do you own any timberland around here?
Well, little pieces here and there. Nothing to speak of.
Oh, even a small tract might be a lot of trouble for a man with as many jobs as you've got.
Don't run 'em myself, Mr. Thurston. Got leased out.
I see. Well, the way things stand now, all I need is one more answer.
Got any idea where to get it?
I think so, at the plant construction office.
Guess nobody's over there this time of night.
Oh, Marty Hill's probably there. He works pretty late. Suppose we go over and find out.
Well, I don't know. I got a lot of things to do.
What things, Mr. Crumb? The store's closed, post office closed. Nobody wants a hotel room.
Well, I ought to do some work on the book.
They'll keep. Come on, Mr. Crumb. Let's go look for that last answer.
I don't think anybody's here, Mr. Thurston. No sign of life.
Oh, the light's on, though. Come on.
We going inside, Mr. Thurston?
Any reason why not, Mr. Crumb? Good evening.
Mr. Thurston.
Ken.
Didn't know you had company, Mr. Hill. How are you, Elaine?
Well, she...
I was just passing by, Ken. Stopped in to say hello.
You stopped in for the same reason you've been hanging around here for days, playing detective. Same as your father has.
But I thought Father
Relax, Elaine. He's not involved in this. I got a map here, Mr. Hill. I'd like to ask you a question about it.
Well, if it's anything about the construction here, maybe I can answer it.
You'll notice two lines marked there, the proposed routes for the new railroad. The old plan and the new one.
Yeah, that's right.
If your plant here fails and is sold at auction, McDermott will probably buy the equipment and set it up downriver. Chances are, in that case, the railroad will be built on the old route.
No doubt about that, Mr. Thurston, but what are you getting at?
Most of both lines are on public land, but one 7-mile stretch of the old route crosses a private tract. A 7-mile right-of-way might bring the landowner a pretty good price.
But Ken... Oh, Nothing.
Wonder if you could tell me who owns that tract, Mr. Hill.
You own that yourself, don't you, Marty?
As a matter of fact, I do. It's too bad you found out.
Look out, Mr. Thurston. He's grabbing an axe.
All right, Hill. Drop it.
Oh, my arm!
I said drop it.
I'd have killed you.
Like you did Ray Brown, eh? All right, Constable Crumb, take over.
Glad to, Mr. Thurston. He'll get life, sure as shoot.
You sound pretty sure of that.
Don't know why not. After all, I'm the judge. Come on, Marty.
It's a good thing for him he didn't have one of Uncle Ahmed's double-headed hatchets. He would have killed himself.
Pagan, that's exactly what he did.
Huh?
Anytime somebody starts out to cheat the people who trust him, he's picking up a double-headed axe. And while he's cutting out a profit for himself with one end, he'll cut his own throat with the other. There's no way he can keep from it, because there are two things put together exactly alike. A double-headed axe and a double cross.
Our Frigidaire star, Herbert Marshall.
Let me remind you of something. That everybody benefits when everybody gives to the community fund. Make your contribution now and make it generous. The money you give comes right back to you because the community fund helps make your hometown a better town for you and for everybody in it. Now, thanks for listening, and I'm sure you'll want to hear next week's story called No Greater Evil. For it's packed with suspense and thrill, so I think you'll enjoy it. As usual, Leon Belasco will be along as Pagon Zellschmidt. So join us, won't you, when next I return as The Man Called X. Good night.
Frigidaire's Man Called X is directed by Jack Johnstone, with music composed and conducted by Johnny Green. Tonight's story was written by Les Crutchfield. And so until next week, same time, same station, this is Wendell Niles speaking for Frigidaire, made only by General Motors. All characters and incidents used are fictitious. Any resemblance to actual persons or incidents is purely coincidental. Remember, every Thursday, for the best in entertainment, tune in and stay tuned in to CBS, the biggest show in town. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You're twice as sure with two great names, Frigidaire and General Motors. Frigidaire presents Herbert Marshall as The Man Called X. Wherever there is mystery, intrigue, romance, in all the strange and dangerous places of the world, there you will find The Man Called X. And now, Frigidaire presents Herbert Marshall as Ken Thurston, The Man Called X. In a government office in Washington, D.C., a moving picture is being shown to a select group of men. A top-secret film made at heavily guarded radar testing fields in the Arizona desert.
Important test of the electronic brain in this radar-guided airplane is the landing. No personnel was aboard during these shots. The electronic brain performed all functions.
Mr. Thurston, the possibilities of the electronic brain are almost limitless.
Yeah, Colonel. For both good and evil.
Why, what do you mean by that?
I just think what might happen if that little device fell into the wrong hands.
The men you see now are some of the foreign scientists brought to this country to work with us in developing this remarkable invention. They, as well as our own experts.
That man in the film. Left at the end of the second row. Do you know that man?
Why, yes, Thurston. That's Professor Hosmer.
Hosmer?
A famous French scientist now working at the Arizona testing ground.
Colonel, 3 years ago in France, I was caught in a bombing raid. So was Professor Hosmer. He didn't come out alive.
Of course Hosmer's alive, Ken. And his papers, when he came over here, were in perfect order.
Chief, I tell you, I saw his laboratory in Calais blown to bits. His death was never reported for security reasons.
Well, then who's the man you saw in that picture? The one supposed to be Hosmer?
That's just it. I don't know. That's why we got to check on this thing.
Yes, Ken, maybe you've got something there.
The electronic brain is our secret now, for use in peacetime aviation. But if it got into the wrong hands, it could be turned into a terrible weapon for destroying lives instead of saving them.
Ken, you're right.
Okay, then, Chief. I'm heading for Arizona.
Yes?
Well,
What is it you want, please?
they tell me Professor Hosmer lives here. I'd like to see him.
Who are you?
My name's Ken Thurston.
Ken Fit. Come in, please.
Oh, thanks. Well, looks like you're doing some packing. Photographic gear, doesn't it?
That's right, Mr. Thurston.
Oh, pretty valuable stuff, too. That infrared equipment, for instance.
Mr. Thurston, perhaps you'd care to state your business here?
It's with Professor Hosmer. Maybe I better tell him.
He's not around right now. I'm Jean Alexander, his secretary. I'm sure I can handle it for him.
Oh, I don't mind waiting. I'll stick around till he gets back.
You'll have a long wait, Mr. Thurston. Professor Hosmer died last night.
Well, pretty sudden, wasn't it?
Very. Heart attack. There was nothing his physician, Dr. Brenner, could do to save him. It was a great shock to us.
Yeah, I can see it's still a tough way to talk about it. Took you long enough to tell me. At least I should pay my last respects. Where can I see him?
I'm afraid you can't, Mr. Thurston. According to the wishes of his sister, Evelyn Hosmer, the body has been cremated. The ashes were shipped to her in San Francisco this afternoon.
Oh. Well, thanks anyway. I'd say goodbye, only I think I'll be seeing you again. Quite soon, Miss Alexander.
Will you? I don't think I'd advise you to try it, Mr. X.
Attention, please. Flight 7 for San Francisco, now loading at ramp 3. Flight 7, now loading at ramp 3.
Mr. Thurston, wait for me.
What?
Don't go, wait.
Oh, no.
Hello, Mr. Thurston.
Hey, Gonzalo Schmidt, what are you doing in Phoenix?
What a question. I'm here to stop you from taking that airplane to San Francisco. What else?
What?
Mr. X, it's positively official. The chief sent me.
That yarn's wearing thin, Pagon. Better get another.
But the chief did send me, Mr. Thurston. He learned that some professor kicked the bucket, so you didn't have to go hunting for him no more. And won't you back in New York?
Well, you'll have to wait a while, Pagon. I've got to help the poor bereaved sister, Professor Hosmer, bear up under her sorrow when she receives his ashes.
Huh? The chief won't take that for an excuse.
Oh, I think he will, Pagon, when he remembers that electronic brain and the fact that our files show Hosmer hasn't got a sister.
Mr. Thurston, why are we flying to San Francisco? It's the wrong direction. New York is on the west coast.
If you don't think this is the right direction, ask Miss Jean Alexander.
You mean that cute little cookie sitting up the head there?
Yeah. See you later, Pagon.
Mr. Thurston!
Hello, Miss Alexander.
I was wondering if you were going to annoy me, Mr. Thurston.
If you want me to see that he stops annoying you, Jean.
That won't be necessary, Dr. Brennan. He's going away.
Dr. Brenner. Oh, yes, Professor Hosmer's physician.
Well?
Must have bothered you quite a bit to sign his death certificate, or did it?
Rest assured, Thurston, there was nothing wrong with that diagnosis. I'd stake my reputation on it. A post-mortem would easily bear me out.
A pretty safe bet, isn't it, Doctor? I never have heard of a successful autopsy on a pile of ashes. Now, Pagon, you stay here while I go to see Evelyn Hosmer. If Dr. Brenner drives up and starts shooting, just holler, and I mean holler.
Don't you worry about the thing, Mr. Thurston.
Hello, Mr. Thurston.
Oh, you know me?
But of course, I have been expecting you. Come in, won't you?
I never refuse a lady's invitation when it's backed up by a cold automatic.
You are very sensible, Mr. Thurston. The living room is that way. You will go first, please.
I see your brother got here all right, Miss Hosmer.
You are referring to the urn containing his ashes, no doubt. It arrived quite safely.
Oh, so the projection machine. For picture slides, isn't it?
Part of my dear brother's photographic equipment.
What's it doing here?
You do not have to answer that, my dear.
Hello. When did you come in?
A moment ago, my dear Thurston, but before we continue this conversation, you have seen my out. Lest you attempted to indulge in foolish heroics, please turn your back to me.
Why not?
Thank you, Mr.
What are you doing here? Who are you?
My dear Evelyn, that's nothing for you to be alarmed about. I'm your dear dead brother, Professor Hosmer.
Brother?
I've merely dropped in to collect my ashes.
And now to continue with Frigidaire's Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall. It's a few minutes after the startling appearance of Professor Harzma in the apartment of his sister Evelyn. Ken Thurston is just starting to come.
Wake up, Mr. Thurston. Please wake up. Why do you have to lie there like a dead corpse?
Pagar.
That's right, Mr. Thurston.
Pagar. Where are the others?
That Evelyn Harsma came running downstairs a few moments ago with her grandfather, so I came running up and found you out like a dark light.
Yeah. Only that grandfather was Professor Hosmer.
But he's dead.
The real professor, yeah. He died in Calais 3 years ago. The man you saw was his half-brother.
Oh.
He came over here on the dead professor's papers and wangled his way into the electronic brain project.
Huh?
He was once suspected of selling military secrets to the enemy. Could be he's still at it.
Oh, corpses, half-brothers, electrical brains. Mr. Thurston.
Look there. See the metal tag on that projection machine?
Tag? Oh. Patterson's Golden Gate Photo Service?
Yeah. That's where we're going to answer your questions.
Thurston, there's no lights in the picture shop. Nobody home.
Patterson's delivery truck parked out there. So he's probably around somewhere. Try this back door. Come on.
It's dark like the inside of coal here.
This flashlight will help.
Look at this place. What a mess. Cameras. Hey! Mr. Thurston.
There you go. That's Evelyn Harsma.
Oh. But who did it? And why was she killed here?
Maybe that projector will tell us. Looks like she was operating when she was shot. Still a transparency in the film holder. Let's see.
Look. There's a picture on the screen. It's that luscious little lady who was on the plane with us.
Yeah, so it is.
And look at that lovely bathing suit she's wearing. Mr. Thurston, did you have to turn off this light so soon?
Let's switch on another one, Pagar. This one.
Huh? What's that?
An infrared tube attached to this projector. And I have an idea. Let's see.
Double feature is no good, Mr. X. This one's got nothing but squares and lines in it with funny figures.
That's an infrared photo of a blueprint, Pagar. A blueprint of part of the design of the electronic brain.
It is?
Yeah. Pasted between two identical ordinary transparencies. Takes infrared light to show it up.
Imagine that.
Hosmer made infrared photos of all the plans, then cooked up a fake death to clear himself of any suspicion. And the urn contained negatives instead of ashes. A perfect way to ship him safely.
Wasn't so safe for that Sister Evelyn.
She wasn't his sister. Just someone they'd hired. Of course, she had the same name. To help him tripping up anyone who got suspicious and might have checked on him.
Mr. Thurston, somebody's coming in the front door.
Yeah, quiet. Okay, I've got the negative. Now to the back door fast. Shh.
Oh, that fool. There's nothing in the machine. Hello, this is Brenner. I'm at the shop. There's no negative in that projection machine. All right, I'll look around. We haven't any time to waste. I'll drive the truck over as soon as I make a final check.
Okay, Pagon, I've heard enough. Let's go.
That's all right.
Pagon, I'm going to get into the back of the Patterson Company's truck. There's a chance I'll be hitchhiking a ride to where Hosmer is and the plans.
What am I supposed to do?
Call the chief. Tell him to send out a coast-wide arrest order for Hosmer and Brenner on a charge of espionage. Now, beat it.
Okay, Mr. Thurston, you can depend on it.
Yeah. No, it's too dark in here to see, but that perfume tells me I've got company in this truck. That right, Miss Alexander?
Yes, that's quite right. Won't you sit down and make yourself comfortable, Mr. X?
Go on, Jean.
Can Professor Hosmer plan this fourth step to protect himself from enemies? Foreign agents who'd known him overseas. They were after him because of his knowledge of the electronic plane mechanism. And I think Dr. Brenner is one of those enemies.
That's why you followed into the Photoshop and hid in this truck?
Yes, I've got to find out the truth. For Professor Hosmer's sake.
What about me? How do you think I fit into the picture?
I'm not sure, but as long as we're both trailing Dr. Brenner, I'm willing to work with you. After that, Wait a minute. I think he's stopping at last.
Yes.
Ken, what if Brenner comes back here before we get out?
And somebody's liable to get hurt. We'll know in a minute. Looks like he's gone. Come on, Gene.
Fog out here. It's so thick you can't see 5 feet away. Where could we be?
An hour out of San Francisco. All this fog, surf, and the smell of pines. We could be somewhere near Half Moon Bay.
Quite right,
Professor Hosmer.
We are at Half Moon Bay. Unfortunately, the fog prevents you from seeing it, but I can tell you that it's a beautiful place in which to live. And even a beautiful place in which to die.
Have you had any luck with those ropes, Ken?
Not yet. It's so dark in this room, I can't even see if there's anything around that might help.
Do you think he'll keep us in this old house very long?
I doubt it. The films are no good to him until he gets them out of the country somehow to sell. If we... Listen.
What's that?
Shortwave radio set in the next room. Now listen.
Do you know what it means, Ken?
Yes, listen. Yes. Rendezvous. South American freighter. Down the coast. At a place they're calling CR.
CR?
Yeah. He signed off.
And he's made his contact. He won't need us anymore.
Looks like it. Our only chance is to get out of these ropes before we...
Ken, who is this?
Easy, Gene, easy.
Mr. Thurston.
Hagar!
Mr. Thurston, then you are here.
How'd you... Never mind. Save it for later. Get out your knife. Cut these ropes.
It's as good as done. You realize, of course, Mr. Thurston, I couldn't leave you on the perch that way. So I followed you. Believe me, that taxi cost a fortune. There.
Good. Now cut Gene's.
Ah, the cute cook in a bathing suit. A pleasure.
What did the chief say when you called him?
When I called who?
So you didn't call him. I might have known.
But, Mr. Thurston, that Dr. Brenner was driving the truck right away. You wouldn't want me to desert me.
Ken!
Come on. They came for the next room. Stay behind me, Gene. Well.
Professor Hosmer. Dead.
Yeah. Brenner didn't miss.
Brenner?
Sure. Hear that car? He's beating it. Come on, Pagon. We're going after him.
Sure. My taxi.
But, Ken, with all that fog out there, how can you tell where he's going?
That's not too tough, Gene. He's going to meet a South American freighter at a rendezvous called CR. This is it, Pagon. The Cape Reseda Lighthouse.
And you think that Brenner the Good is out here?
It figures. Down the coast from Half Moon Bay. CR for Cape Reseda, and there's his car. Yeah. Look out to sea. There, where the wind's lifting the fog.
You mean that little light out there? Blinking on and off?
Yeah. The freighter is signaling its position. And there, up in the tower, an answering light. That's where Brenner is. Come on, Pagon.
But, Mr. Thurston, we haven't got any guns. And he likes to shoot people. Why don't we go back to Half Moon Bay and join that lovely gym?
Quiet. We're going into this lighthouse.
There's no lights in here, except from the top of the place.
Yeah. The light tower. And that's where Brenner is.
Where's the lighthouse keeper?
This is an automatic light. Come on. Up the stairway.
But it's too high up there. I get dizzy in high places. A kleptomaniac, you understand? Oh, Mr. Thurston.
Who is it? Who's down there?
It's him. It's him. He's seen us.
Who's there, I said?
It's Thurston, Brenner.
Thurston?
That's right. I'm coming after those films.
You're wrong, Thurston. You'll never live to get them. You're a fool, Thurston. You can't climb those stairs and live. All right, you asked for it. You're mad, Thurston. Go back. All right, you've had your last chance. This time you're close enough so I can't miss. Mr. Thurston! So you wouldn't listen to me. All right, you see how you got paid off. You were a sucker, Thurston. You... No. No, you can't. That bullet struck home. I know it did. Thurston!
3 shots at Hosmer. 3 at me. Count 'em, Brenner. That gun of yours is empty. All right. Now let's have those films.
No. No, I've got an ace up my sleeve. The sea ladder out on the light walk.
Come back here, Brenner. You'll never make it down the ladder in that wind.
You haven't won yet, Thurston.
Brenner, that ladder's as slippery as ice. You can't make it.
Goodbye, Thurston. I've taken the last trick after all, like. Thurston! My foot slipped. Help, I'm going to fall. I'm going to...
Yeah. The last trick, Brenner. The very last.
Mr. Thurston! Mr. Thurston! Oh, there's blood on your sleeve.
I'm all right.
Oh, that Dr. Brenner. What happened to him? Where'd he go?
Into the sea, Pagon.
And he's gone for good. And Professor Hosmer is gone, too. Ha! There's nobody else left for us to worry about.
Oh, no, Pagan.
Huh?
As long as there are men on Earth like Hosmer and Brenner, there's plenty to worry about. It's not the film they killed for that matters. It's a more tragic film. The greed that covers the eyes of men like that blinded them to the fact that peace is the salvation of mankind. They've got to be made to see that. All of them.
Frigidaire star, Herbert Marshall.
Thanks for being with us. Next week, our story is called Written in the Sands. It's packed full of excitement and mystery, and I think you'll like it. As usual, Leon Belasco will be along as Pagon Zellschmidt. So join us, won't you, when next I return, without a cold, as the man called X. Good night.
Frigidaire's Man Called X is directed by Jack Johnstone, with music composed and conducted by Johnny Green. Tonight's story was written by Sidney Marshall. And so, until next week, same time, same station, this is Ken Niles speaking for Frigidaire, made only by General Motors. All characters and incidents used on this program are fictitious, and any resemblance to actual persons or incidents is purely coincidental. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
you're twice as sure with two great names, Frigidaire and General Motors. Frigidaire presents Herbert Marshall as the man called X. Wherever there is mystery, intrigue, romance, and all the strange and dangerous places of the world, there you will find the man called X. And now Frigidaire presents Herbert Marshall as Ken Thurston, the man called X.
Now, just why did you come here to the Bureau, Mrs. Masters?
Because of my son, Mr. Thurston. He lives in Athens, in Greece, where I come from. He writes to me he's sick, bad sick. He needs medicine.
I see.
My friends tell me of a Greek business here. They will send him a wonder medicine. The name I have here.
Streptomycin. Ken.
Yeah, I see, Chief, yeah.
They ask $100. I have only a little money, but I give them. That is 2 months ago. Yesterday, I have a letter. My son is dead.
I'm sorry.
The letter also say medicine never arrives. I think there's something wrong, mister. So I go to company today.
What company, Mrs. Masters?
The Sedor Mercantile Company. But the man will not help. Only tell me, come here.
What do you think, Chief?
Ken, the Bureau has a report on 500 units of streptomycin shipped to Athens 60 days ago. It was lost overboard while being transferred to another ship near the island of Zenophon. An unfortunate accident, that's all.
Is it? I wonder what 500 units of a rare drug like streptomycin will bring on the Greek black market.
Oh, probably $500,000. Ken?
Yes, Chief. I'm paying a visit to the Sador Mercantile Company. Take on, Zellschmidt. Get your feet off that desk and wake up. Take on.
No, I'll have your head for waking me up like this. Hello, Mr. Thurston.
What are you doing at the Sador Mercantile Company?
Where? Oh, you mean here? Why, I'm vice president and general manager in charge of mercantiles and things.
Oh, so you're the one who sent Mrs. Mastos to see me, eh?
Of course. I didn't know what she was talking about. Besides, I wanted you to find out about my salary. That big fat man hasn't been back since.
What big fat man?
Well, the one who hired me 3 days ago. He hasn't been back since.
Oh, you said that, yes. Now, were there any phone calls, any mail?
Well, the telephone's unconnected, and the only thing in the mail was this. I opened it accidentally, you understand?
Oh, yes, sorry. Here you go. This is a shipping invoice. 3 days ago, 1,000 units of streptomycin was shipped air express via Rome to a Dr. Mitter of the General Hospital in Athens. Oh, thanks, nurse. Well.
You seem surprised, Mr. Thurston.
I am. I didn't expect Dr. Mitter to be so feminine.
Someone should have told you the name is Eleanor Mitter. Won't you sit down?
Thanks.
You wish to speak with me concerning streptomycin and the need for it here at Athens General Hospital?
That's right, dear. What can you tell me about it?
Mr. Thurston, with typhus and tuberculosis sweeping Greece like a plague, our need for it is desperate.
Well, wasn't 1,000 units shipped air express a few days?
Yes, but a special plane bringing it from Rome flew off course. It crashed off the island of Zenophon yesterday morning. That is why we are desperate.
There's always the black market, Doctor.
Mr. Thurston, there is no black market in streptomycin.
Uh-huh. Well, thanks for the information, Dr. Miller. I'll see if I can scare up some for you. Bye, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mr. Thurston. Good luck. Sparta 2573, please. Hello. Hello, this is Dr. Mitter. We need 50 more units at once. Yes, the hospital will meet the price. By the way, Mr. Thurston was just here. He might possibly be taking the steamer to Xenophon. It's also possible that Mr. Thurston is the man called X.
Mr. Thurston, how long do we have to travel on this dirty cattle boat?
Cheer up, Pagon. We'll be in Xenophon in 24 hours. Now, this should be our cabin.
Yes?
Hello, you must be Colonel Creighton.
And if I am?
Well, the passenger agent tells us we'll be sharing this cabin.
Miserable arrangement. The idea of a member of the King's personal guard being forced to share his quarters with strangers.
We're not complaining, Colonel. Why should you?
Well, just bear in mind, please, that this enforced proximity does not entitle you to any social amenities. Now, if you'll excuse me, I shall leave for dinner.
Well.
What a stuffed shirt. Am I going to tell him a couple of things or two?
Oh, you're sure you are. Now, let's put our bags away. Yeah, come in. Yeah?
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. Your pardon for this intrusion. My name is Demetros Sedor.
Mr. Thurston, it's him, the big fat man.
Oh, yes, you recognize me. My girth is difficult to disguise.
You crooked no good, cheating me out of my salary. Come on, you. I'll punch you black and blue.
My apologies, Elsmith. Cable from Greece, unexpected business emergency, no time to notify you. Perhaps this bill will suffice for back salary?
That measly little C note. $100.
Yes, exactly. Are we still enemies, my dear sir?
Well, how did you ever get such a silly idea, Mr. Sedor? My dearest friend. Now, if there's any little job...
All right, Sedor, let's have it. You didn't come in here just to settle up with Pagon.
You have a keen mind, sir. Very keen mind. Now, I came here as a friend to warn you. There is someone aboard this ship, sir, who intends to take your life.
Yeah? What makes you think that?
My sources must remain a secret, sir. However, this much I tell you. There is no one named Colonel Creighton connected with His Majesty's Guard.
Huh?
And at the moment, the Colonel is dining with a last-minute passenger, the lovely Dr. Eleanor Mitter of Athens. There you have it, sir, my gesture of friendship.
Yeah. You mentioned two names as homicidal suspects. How about adding a third?
A third, sir?
Yeah. Demetros Sedor.
Demetros... yes, my dear sir. You are quite right. Quite right indeed. Good night, my friend.
Mind sharing part of this rail, Dr. Miller?
The deck is free to all passengers, Mr. Thurston.
Thank you. Pretty lonely out here at this hour of night, isn't it?
That's why I chose it. I prefer quiet and solitude on the nights before I operate.
You going to operate?
Yes, that's why I'm traveling to Xenophon. The pilot of the plane carrying the streptomycin had his skull fractured in the crash.
There's a funny thing about that crash, Doctor.
Is there?
Yeah, I checked on it. The weather was calm and clear. The pilot reported no mechanical trouble. Too bad if he died during the operation and couldn't tell how it happened.
There are other things more dangerous to human life than a scalpel in the hands of a trained surgeon, Mr. Thurston. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'll retire. Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
Mr. Thurston, we're going to be killed, murdered, even die, maybe.
Now, whoa, Pagon. Who's going to commit all this mayhem?
Colonel Creighton, that's who. I saw him in the cabin just now, cleaning a cannon. Well, anyways, a caliber 88 automatic. He's going to kill us.
No.
Get down.
All right, Pagon, dig your nose up out of the deck. Whoever it was is gone in the shadows.
Where else could it be but that no good colonel?
Dr. Mitter left in the direction those shots came from.
Huh?
Look over there now. What do you see?
In that darkness? Nothing but a big shadow. Mr. Thurston, it's moving. It's coming towards us.
A pleasant journey, this one to Xenophon, isn't it, Mr. Thurston? Yes. A very pleasant journey indeed.
we continue with Frigidaire's Man Called X, Herbert Marshall.
Mr. Thurston, why don't we get off this floating cattle car?
Sometimes, Pagon, cargo's a lot more important than passengers. We got to wait till they're through unloading.
But how come that Dr. Mitter sneaked out ashore?
Special priority. We've got an operation coming up.
Maybe if I play sick, too, we can... Mr. Thurston, look out! Somebody's jumping on us!
Relax, that's nothing but the shadow of the cargo net swinging overhead.
Imagine that. But why do they keep swinging it over our heads all the time?
Ah, my dear Thurston, viewing the harbor, I see.
That's right, Sador. I was wondering where that plane of yours crashed.
Ah, yes, the unfortunate accident. Notice that mooring buoy in the bay and the ship anchored nearby? That marks the spot.
Looks like that boat has diving tackle rigged on it.
Your eyes are as keen as your brain, sir. Yes, that is a sponge diving boat, one of my fleet, Mr. Thurston.
So you're in the sponge business, too, huh?
Quite right, sir. I find it a dull venture, but quite profitable.
As profitable as selling wonder drugs on the black market?
You joke, of course, sir. No, I do not think the sponge business would be as profitable, but perhaps far less dangerous. That is my answer, sir. A good one, is it not? Yes, a very good one indeed.
What's so good about it? He didn't answer nothing.
That's why it's good, Pager.
Huh? Well, anyways, with him and Dr. Mitter out of our way, we got nothing to worry about. Hey, Mr. Thurston, that cargo net stopped right over us.
Jump, Pig, on the net. It's slipping. Come on. Jump.
Mr. X, those crates fell right where we were standing.
Yeah.
They could have smashed a flathead and flapjacks. Oh, what an accident.
I wonder if Colonel Creighton had caught it that.
Colonel Creighton?
Standing over there beside the donkey engine.
Mr. Thurston, that engine...
Yeah. It handles the load of cargo that nailed it mass.
So, Ken, you've come to the hospital to check up on me.
No, not quite, Eleanor. I want to talk to your patient, the pilot. That is, if he's still alive.
He's alive. The operation was successful. Come, I'll take you to see him. Ken, I hope this will end the suspicions you have. Here we are. This is his room.
Kind of drafty, isn't it?
That stupid nurse left the window open. She knows the patient's vulnerable to pneumonia.
Don't bother, Eleanor. He's not vulnerable to anything now.
What? Ken, it must have been post-operative shock. On embolism.
Yeah. All that knife sticking out of his chest.
Yes?
Hello, Sador.
Ah, Mr. Thurston. Come in, sir. Come in, please.
Thanks.
A welcome surprise, sir. Most welcome. Though, I must confess I expected you to call.
Yeah, we've got a few things to talk over. Sador, you operate the black markets here in Xenophon. Why not admit it?
Why not, sir? Why not indeed? The airplane pilot is dead. There are no witnesses here. I don't mind speaking frankly.
Well, good. Then tell me if I've got the record straight.
Certainly, sir.
You have a two-way racket, Sador, selling foreign-born Americans on the idea of shipping streptomycin to sick relatives in Greece. Overcharge them 100%, then seeing that some accident happens, so the drug will end up in your black market.
I said you were a brilliant man, sir. Your deductions are quite sound. But you overlook one little...
Do I?
Yes. Both shipments of the drug were lost at sea. I found it impossible to recover them.
Uh-huh.
So you see, we have both lost. I have no drugs. You have no proof of crime. Our little contest ends in a draw.
Okay, Sador, that's that. Looks like I go back to Athens.
And I, sir, return to my sponge diving business. By the way, if you're not familiar with the process, why not drop around tomorrow? I'll take you aboard one of my boats. You might find it interesting.
Maybe I'll take you up on that, Sador. Good night.
Good night, sir. Good night. Well, my dear, did you hear it all?
You always were a talkative fool, Dmitro. Why did you mention the diving?
My dear Eleanor, it pleased me to be apparently frank, yet telling nothing. Now he will leave Zenophon, and we have nothing further to worry about.
You mean I have nothing further to worry about?
Huh? Does that mean that I have? Don't be foolish, my dear. What could it possibly be?
Just this, Dimitro. Just this.
Mr. Thurston, I don't get it. You rush into the hotel room, rush me down here to go rowing, and don't even tell me what's cooking. What have you been doing, anyways?
Oh, calling on Dimitro Sador and Colonel Creighton.
Look, Mr. Thurston, I won't ask you about Colonel Creighton. Not even about that no-good Sador. Just answer me one thing, please. Why are we rowing in the middle of the ocean in the middle of the night, huh?
Pagon, we're going to dive for sponges. Hello, Pagon. How'd you hear me?
Oh, clear like a shell, Mr. Thurston. Never believe you were 40 feet under the water. I hope that diving suit doesn't start leaking on you.
Just you worry about keeping that air pump going.
Hey, there's a speedboat coming over here.
Speedboat? You see who's aboard?
In the darkness? No, maybe that's Colonel Creighton or maybe, well, what do you know? Look who it is, Mr. Thurston.
How can I look, you idiot?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, it's nobody for you to worry about. Just that pretty little pill peddler, that Dr. Mitter.
Hello there. Is that you, Mr. Selschmidt?
That's right, Mr. Mitter. That's right, Doctor. Welcome on board.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Thurston, where is he? I must speak with him at once. The air pump. The diving equipment is working all right, Selschmidt.
Dr. Mitter, you got a gun. You, Mr. Thurston.
My hand is over the transmitter. He can't hear you, nor could he hear the sound of shots.
Of shots?
Move backwards quickly, please, and stay there. Ken, do you hear me?
Eleanor, what are you doing aboard?
I followed you from your hotel, Ken. I have important news.
Oh?
You were right. There is a black market here in streptomycin. Dimitro Sador is behind it. But if you're diving out here, you know his plan.
Yeah, that's right, Eleanor. Had his agents dump the drug into the sea to make the accidents look legitimate. Then he'd recover it with his sponge divers.
As you're trying to do now. Ken, I was so worried about you.
Worried?
Keep your distance, Selschmidt.
Okay.
The streptomycin's right below the boat, Eleanor. Well marked. Any diver can get it in the morning and have it hauled up in the sponge net. So my work's almost over for the night. Ask Pagon to put in the lines, will you?
First, darling, I think you should know something. Dimitro Sador had a partner. I was working with him.
Were you, Eleanor?
But my percentage of the prices the hospital was paying was hardly enough. Now that Sador is dead, all the profit shall be mine.
Sador dead?
Yes, darling, yes. I disposed of him, as I did with the pilot, and as I'm going to do with you.
Pretty confident, aren't you?
Why shouldn't I be? Flick of a switch, the gas motor stops, the air pump doesn't run. You'll find it rather difficult to breathe down there with your air supply gone. Too bad it has to end this way, darling. Bye.
Dr. Mitter! The air pump! It stopped! Oh, Mr. Thurston,
Yes, Selschmidt, and now it's your turn.
No, you can't do this to me. You... Mr. Thurston, help! She's going to shoot! Help, Mr. Thurston!
You fool, he can't help you now. He's dead.
Hello, Eleanor.
You?
Better get our gun, Colonel.
No!
Let me have it. All right, Thurston.
You? Alive? Colonel Creighton?
Colonel Creighton of the Greek Intelligence Service, Doctor.
I knew it all the time, especially after he helped me arrange things on this boat. You made a mistake, Dr. Mitter, not seeing the telephone wire going into the cabin.
No, Pagon. Her mistake was in renouncing a doctor's oath for a handful of money. She's going to pay for that mistake. Yes, and that goes for all the others who renounce principles for the sake of money. Someone said it long ago. It went like this. What is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul?
Now, Frigidaire star Herbert Marshall.
Thanks for being with us. Next week, our story is called Report from the Arctic.
Now, Frigidaire star Herbert Marshall.
Thanks for being with us. Next week, our story is called Report from the Arctic. And I think you'll like it because it's one of the most absorbing stories I've seen in a long time. Leon Belasco, of course, will be along as usual in the role of Pagon Zellschmidt. So join us, won't you, when next I return as the man called X. Good night.
Frigidaire's Man Called X is directed by Jack Johnstone, with music composed by Johnny Green and conducted tonight by Al Sandry. Tonight's story was written by Sidney Marshall. So until next week, same time, same station, this is Wendell Niles speaking for Frigidaire, made only by General Motors. All characters and incidents used on this program are fictitious. Any resemblance to actual persons or incidents is purely coincidental. Remember, every Sunday night brings you two popular dramatic shows on CBS, The Man Called X and The Adventures of Sam Spade. Yes, for the best in entertainment, tune in and stay tuned in to CBS, the biggest show in town. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. You're twice as sure with two great names, Frigidaire and General Motors. Frigidaire presents Herbert Marshall as the Man Called X. Wherever there is mystery, intrigue, romance, in all the strange and dangerous places of the world, there you will find the Man Called X. And now Frigidaire presents Herbert Marshall as Ken Thurston, the Man Called X.
Oh, good morning, Ken. Been trying to locate you.
Yeah, that's what Miss Brooks said, Chief. I told her to go ahead and put that call through.
Oh, good.
Any idea what it's all about?
No, he wouldn't talk to anybody but you. And he sounded pretty excited. Who is he, Ken? I never heard of him.
Dr. Kupczynski, a scientist, Chief. Meteorologist. I met him a number of years ago. He's been up to the Arctic for the last 18 months or so in charge of an expedition.
Well, he's back now. He phoned from up the coast at Plymouth.
Plymouth, eh?
I can't figure any reason he'd have for calling us.
Nor can I, Chief, but I do know it takes something out of the ordinary to get Kupczynski excited. Wondering if this ties in with some of his theories.
What theories, Ken?
Well, he's thought for a long time that the Arctic region had possibilities of being kind of overlooked.
You mean as an area?
Oh, more than that. He's always claimed that this frozen north idea is all wet. That actually the country up there has enough natural resources to support big industry. Colonization. Matter of fact, that's the reason it...
Just a second, Ken. Yes, Miss Brooks?
I have Mr. Thurston's call to Plymouth now.
Oh, fine. Here he is, Ken.
Thanks. Ken Thurston speaking.
This is Dr. Kupczynski, Mr. Thurston.
How are you, Doctor?
Mr. Thurston, you must come up here immediately.
Oh, what's the trouble?
Well, as you may know, we arrived back here from the Arctic this morning.
Uh-huh.
When I prepared to disembark, I discovered that all of our reports, all the data from a year and a half's work had disappeared.
Oh?
Furthermore, my geologist, Dr. Roberts, was found dead in his cabin. Mr. Thurston, I've not been able to determine the cause.
No. All right, Doctor. Where'll I find you?
I'm on board the Argonaut, berthed at the Old North Dock in Plymouth Harbor.
Okay. See you in about 4 hours. So long, Doctor.
Well, what's the story, Ken?
I'll know better after I've seen him.
Well, now wait. Maybe we don't even figure in this.
Nobody kills a man and steals scientific reports just because of the paper shortage.
Yes, but Ken...
So long, Chief. Oh, Miss Brooks.
Yes, Mr. Thurston?
Get me a plane reservation to Boston right away. I'll pick it up at the field. And have a car waiting the other end.
Yes, sir.
In case you want me later this evening, I'll be on board the Argonaut at Plymouth Harbor.
Plane to Boston, car there, Plymouth this evening. All right, Mr. Thurston.
All right. See you later.
But, I mean, you're not going to be out of town over Thanksgiving, are you?
I don't know. Why?
Well, I just wondered.
Oh. You're wearing your hair different, aren't you?
Well, yes, I am. I didn't think you'd notice.
Nice. I'll call you from Plymouth. So long.
Goodbye, Mr. Thurston.
Hey, wait for me, Mr. Thurston.
Pagon Zellschmidt, how many times have I told you?
Don't say it, Mr. Thurston. You'll only be sorry if you do.
I will I?
Because, after all, I only came here to invite you to lunch.
To what?
Oh, sure, I found a new place. luscious food, wonderful martinis.
No, I've got to catch a plane. Some other time, maybe. Thanks anyway, Pagan.
But in this case, maybe you could loan me $5 so I... Mr. Thurston, wait! Oh, well. Wait a minute. Miss Brooks, what did you say was the name of that boat?
Hello? Anybody aboard? Laboratory C. Oh, I beg your pardon.
Never mind. Come on in.
Thanks. I was looking for Dr. Kupczynski.
Well, I'm not he.
Well, no. You're Miss,
Caldwell. Dr. Caldwell.
Oh, well, my name's Ken Thurston. Miss Caldwell?
Apparently you're one of those men who objects to a woman becoming a scientist.
Oh, no, I never object to any becoming woman.
All right, I'm sorry I was rude, Mr. Thurston. Dr. Kupczynski's ashore somewhere. He's due back any time now.
Thanks. Don't let me interrupt what you're doing there.
The microscope? Oh, no, it doesn't matter. I was running a flow gene count. I'll have to start over again anyway.
You've got a nice laboratory here.
Yes, it is. I'm a little tired of looking at it, though, after 18 months.
Oh, you're one of the members of the expedition?
Official bacteriologist. I've worked with the Stedman Institute for the last 5 years.
Well, Stedman, that's the layout that financed this trip, isn't it?
Yes. It's located here in Plymouth, a few blocks up on Water Street. I think that's where Dr. Kupczynski went.
Anybody else on board?
Oh, just the photographer, I believe, George Smith. Most of the scientists and the crew live here. They were anxious to get ashore.
Yes, except, of course, Dr. Roberts.
Yes. His death was most unfortunate.
Any idea what caused it?
I think you'd better discuss that with Dr. Kupczynski, Mr. Thurston.
Oh, I intend to. By the way, did Roberts have a laboratory of his own?
Yes, it's on the other side of the deck.
I see. Well, I'd better not bother you any longer, Miss Caldwell. Maybe Dr. Kupczynski can come back by now.
Mr. Thurston, is there any special reason why you refuse to call me Dr. Caldwell?
Oh, sure, very special reason. Anybody can be a doctor, but only one person out of every two can be a woman. See you later, Miss Caldwell.
Hey, Mr. Thurston.
Oh, Pagan, no.
Well, I've decided you will most likely need me up here, so I won't take no for an answer.
You never have yet.
Now, of course, I didn't want to intrude while you were making boo with that luscious little damsel.
Pagan, that luscious little damsel is a learned scientist.
Oh, she is?
Yes. In fact, the only one I've ever known learned enough to be able to use a microscope without attaching the eyepiece.
Shelves full of all kinds of bottles. Little hammers, steel plates. Hey, this is a very funny-looking joint, Mr. X.
It's a geology lab, Pagan. Dr. Roberts used these hammers and plates to break up rock samples so he could look at them under the microscope here, you see?
But why would the doctor want to break up rocks?
Different kind of doctor.
Oh.
Roberts was a geologist.
Oh.
Move over, you're standing in the light.
Oh. Hey, can you see anything yet through that little microphone?
Oh. I wonder if that...
Maybe we ought to blow out of here, Mr. X, before this Roberts guy comes in and catches us.
Wait a minute now. Sure, so that's it.
What's it?
Coal dust.
You mean like they burn in furnaces? Is that all?
That's all. But it may be enough.
Good. Well, then why don't we scram before...
Pagan, you can forget about Dr. Roberts. He was found dead in this room this morning.
Oh, well, in that case, we don't... Dead in this room? Now, I know I'm going to get out of here, but... All right, you're both covered. Don't move. Mr. Thurston, it's a ghost.
No, Pagan. I think it's just a photographer. You, George Smith?
Yeah, that's right. Suppose you give me a good reason for breaking into Robert's lab?
Oh, I got a good reason, Mr. Smith, but I think I'd rather tell Dr. Kupczynski.
Then why didn't you tell him in the first place? He's up forward in his cabin.
Good. Let's go make sure he's alive.
Huh? Any reason why he shouldn't be alive?
No, but then when you come right down to it, there's no reason why Dr. Roberts shouldn't be alive.
And so I really must apologize again for the way Smith acted, Mr. Thurston, but you can understand how overwrought all of us are.
Oh, sure, Dr. Kupczynski. Forget it.
Thank you, Mr. Thurston. I've just talked with Dr. Stedman at the Institute. He has the results of the autopsy.
What did he find out?
Dr. Roberts was poisoned with cancidine.
Cancidine. Pretty unusual poison for an amateur to know about.
Well, this whole thing is unusual, Mr. Thurston.
Do you know of anything especially valuable that Roberts may have discovered on the trip?
I couldn't say. We each worked separately, took notes and data in our own branch of science. Dr. Roberts was not a very talkative man.
He collected rock samples, specimens, didn't he?
Oh, yes. They're stored in canvas sacks in the hold. They're useless without aerial maps, notes, data sheets. Those were all stolen with the rest of the reports.
Did you say the expedition itself was a success?
Oh, beyond my wildest hopes, Mr. Thurston. Why, there's a whole new frontier up there.
Well, this overcrowded world could use a new frontier.
Yes, indeed. There are vast areas for fishing grounds, water power, all kinds of possibilities. And it's ours, our country's. Or was, until these reports disappeared.
I know. Whoever has them could get a pretty fancy price for them from some other country, eh?
Yes.
And with Dr. Roberts' poison.
That is what has been uppermost in my mind. What's that?
Let me in quick, Mr. Thurston. Somebody's shooting at somebody out there in the deck.
See anybody, Pagon?
The shooting was somewhere on board.
Why, Dr. Caldwell.
That woman, Mr. Thurston.
Wait a minute. Quiet, everybody.
Mr. Thurston, somebody's coming.
Quiet, will you? All right. Come on in. You're covered.
Oh, Thurston. They say we both have guns now.
Smith.
Mr. Smith.
What's all the shooting about, Smith? Stop shaking, man. You're as nervous as a cat.
I saw somebody coming out of my photo lab.
The poisoner.
I fired a couple of shots, but he got away. The lab's been turned inside out.
You didn't see who it was?
I'm not sure. He looked an awful lot like Dr. Stedman.
What?
Oh, no.
Stedman, huh? The head of the institute.
Everybody around here is doctor. Dr. this and Dr. that, but nobody's a real one.
If you mean a medical doctor, Mr. Zellschmidt, then Dr. Stedman does happen to be a real one. He's quite a well-known toxicologist.
Toxi what?
Pagon? A toxicologist is a man who specializes in the study of poison.
To continue with Frigidaire's Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall. Returning this morning from a year and a half's work in the Arctic, the scientists aboard the Argonaut found ill fortune awaiting them in Plymouth Harbor. The geologist of the expedition, Dr. Roberts, was found dead from poisoning, and all of the expedition's reports have disappeared. Now Ken and Pagon and Dr. Chukchinsky are on an expedition of their own down in the dark hold of the vessel.
That makes 14 sacks we've opened already, Mr. Thurston. And what do we find? Rocks.
Pagon, that's exactly what I expected to find, huh? Drag the next one over.
It's just as I feared, Mr. Thurston. These sample sacks are identified only by code numbers. They're useless without Dr. Roberts' report.
Maybe not entirely useless, Dr. Kupinski. View of what I found in Roberts' laboratory.
Hey, this one is not as heavy as the rest of them.
Huh? Let's have a look. Hold the flashlight, Pagan.
Mr. Thurston, now we got black rock.
But that looks like...
Yeah. Looks like anthracite coal.
Right. That's the most valuable discovery of the whole expedition. Coal. Available for heat, power, smelting. As it is now, we know nothing of its location.
A little hard to understand why you didn't know about this sooner, Doctor. Weren't you in charge of the expedition?
Yes, but each of us worked individually, and each was to make his separate report to Dr. Stedman here at the Institute. My own particular field is meteorology. Dr. Caldwell's bacteriology, and so on.
And Roberts worked by himself?
Exactly. He flew one of the helicopters, took his own notes and samples, made his own maps. None of us had any idea.
Wait, quiet.
Yes?
I don't hear anything, Mr. Thurston. Just water dripping.
You be quiet. Behind these boxes, somewhere about here.
Sounds like a little clock.
Here. Grab the other side of that box. Now.
Right.
Mr. Thurston, look.
Yeah. An electric circuit and a timer.
It's connected to that drum of gasoline. Those briefcases beside it, the reports.
Just a second. Wait till I disconnect this. Is the Roberts report there, Doctor?
No, just a minute. No, it isn't.
I see. Well, at least we know now what it's all about. Well, this timing gadget's pretty unusual. Any idea what it is?
Well, let me see. Yes, I know what it is, Mr. Thurston. It's an automatic control used in meteorology.
Mr. Thurston.
Hope you didn't get tired waiting, Pagan.
A whole hour you leave me alone in this dead man's laboratory. I was starting to get me-be-jeebies.
Here, unwrap that other package.
Where'd you get those bundles, Mr. X?
From Dr. Stedman, over at the Institute.
Stedman? Oh, you mean the taxi...
Quiet, you're not in Times Square.
Huh? I mean that poisonous guy. Well, did you make him confess, maybe?
No, not quite. Matter of fact, he says he didn't kill Roberts.
He's lying.
Maybe. But it's true that any one of this bunch could have taken the cancidine from the storeroom.
Hey, it's a brush and a can of paint.
Phosphorescent paint. Shines in the dark. I want you to paint this with it.
Oh, sure, just leave it to... Mr. X, take it away.
Yeah, it's not going to bite you. Hurry up and get it painted. I'll see you later.
Mr. Thurston, you're not going to leave me here alone with that thing?
Sure. What reason do you have to be scared of it? You didn't kill anybody this morning? So long, Pagan.
I don't get it, Mr. X. Already we've looked in 3 of these lifeboats, and all we find is the same thing. Nothing.
Well, what did you expect to find?
Well, I don't know, but not just nothing.
Here, Pagan, let's have a look inside this one.
Besides, don't even know where we're looking for.
They're not looking for anything now. We found it.
Huh? Found what?
Dr. Roberts' report. Hold the light while I get a hold of the briefcase.
But, Mr. Thurston, why would anybody stick it out here in one of those lifeboats?
Why not? As long as they haven't had a chance yet to sneak it ashore. Okay, I got it. Turn off the light.
Good. The next crime, I'm getting the creeps.
Not so fast, Pagan. We've still got to substitute this thing for the briefs.
Mr. X, do not drop the thing out here in the dark.
Be quiet. There. Doesn't look so bad when you know what it is.
I know what it is, and it still scares me.
Hold the canvas a second while I put it in the bottom of the boat. So. Well, that's that. Now I think it's about time you made a little social call.
Oh. On that Dr. Caldwell dame, I suppose.
Oh, no. I got a date with her later. Come on, Pagan. Let's go talk to Dr. Ripchinsky.
And as you can see, Robert's discovery would have given the final boost to any plan for colonization. So the loss is tragic. And the thief is not only clever, but utterly without scruple.
Oh, I'd say more ruthless than clever, Doctor. Ruthless enough to put a personal greed above the chance for thousands of people to open a new frontier, build a new land.
Wait, I think somebody's coming.
Yes, but how can such a person be exposed? What do you plan to do, Mr. Thurston?
Why, nothing at all, Doctor. I'm only going to sit back and wait till the guilty person decides to confess. Come on in, Miss Caldwell.
You mean her? Mr. Thurston, her.
Here's your coffee, Doctor. Sorry, I didn't know anyone else was here. I only brought 1 cup.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Caldwell.
I can make more if you'd like a cup, Mr. Thurston.
Oh, no. Perhaps, Pagan might like some, though.
Oh, no, not me. I never touched the stuff. Oh.
Well, I hope you won't mind if I drink it in front of you. Coffee's one of my worst vices.
Stop! Don't touch it!
Well, why not?
Mr. Thurston, you're not going to sit there and let her poison him right in front of our eyes? What?
Pagan's got the goods on you, Miss Caldwell. You may as well confess.
Sure, start talking, babe.
Confess? Confess to what? I haven't anything to confess to.
I know, but it'll make Pagan happy.
Huh? But... No, stay away.
Oh, that's what we've been waiting for.
It can't be you, Robert. You're dead. I didn't mean to kill you.
But who is it?
No, please.
Your high-strung photographer, George Smith.
Robert.
The man who killed Dr. Roberts.
Robert! Mr. Thurston, he jumped overboard. He's going to get away.
No, Pagan. I've had the police guarding the wharf for the last 3 hours. Well, that's that.
But what was the matter? What scared him that way?
You should have seen it.
It was mainly a guilty conscience, helped along quite a bit by a plaster death mask of Dr. Roberts.
Death mask?
Yeah, I got it from Stedman earlier this evening. Put it in the lifeboat where Smith had hidden the stolen report.
Oh, then you found it?
But why were you certain George Smith was guilty?
I wasn't certain. But since he did all the photographic work, he was the most likely person to have found out what Roberts was doing. Well, I think I could use that coffee now, Miss Colwell.
Thank heaven the reports were saved. There'll be a new land, Mr. Thurston. A new frontier up there in the Arctic.
Yes, Dr. Kupczynski. And let's hope the pioneers who go there will carry the same vision. A sailing ship brought to Plymouth Harbor over 300 years ago. A belief in the courage of human freedom and in the dignity of the human spirit. Belief in the right of a man to dream and to sow and to reap what he's sown. And in the right of free choice in the God to whom he offers thanksgiving.
Frigidaire star Herbert Marshall.
Thanks for being with us. Next week is a special occasion for us because it will mark the 100th broadcast of our sponsor. The 100th consecutive week the Frigidaires enjoyed bringing radio entertainment into your home. Our story will be Checkmate in Tahiti, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. As usual, Leon Belasco will be along as P. Gonzalschmidt. So join us, won't you, for our 100th broadcast next week, when I return as the man called X. Good night.
Frigidaire's Man Called X is directed by Jack Johnstone, with music composed by Johnny Green and conducted tonight by Al Sendry. The story was written by Les Crutchfield. So until next week, same time, same station, this is Wendell Niles speaking for Frigidaire, made only by General Motors. All characters and incidents used on this program are fictitious, and any resemblance to actual persons or incidents is purely coincidental. Remember, every Sunday night brings you two popular dramatic shows on CBS, The Man Called X and The Adventures of Sam Spade. Yes, for the best in entertainment, tune in and stay tuned in to CBS. Friends, have you ever wished that you could send food or clothing to help some family in Europe live through the winter? CARE will do it for you. That's CARE, the Cooperative Relief Organization endorsed by President Truman, Herbert Hoover, and General Eisenhower. Ask about CARE at your local Western Union or Railway Express office. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.